emergency line as soon as they have something to report. 1508. That is a number that we are issuing out. That is a number that is being used. Please call. I know there are many calls, so be patient. But your matter will be logged in, looked into, and even your call returned in case you don't get through the first time. And it's a toll-free number. The
non-governmental organizations like Red Cross are making more efforts to rescue the affected families as many people have been displaced. Davis Karani, GBS News.
The Ministry of Land, Public Works, Housing and Urban Planning carried a public consultation in regard to draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024. The event that took place at Kirinyaga Central CDF Hall brought together stakeholders from administration, clergy, civil society and the general public to give their views and seek clarifications about the regulations. Majority of the Kirinyaga residents proposed the scrapping of 10% deposit to purchase the housing, terming it too expensive to the common mwananchi. They also proposed more civic education to local people who may not be able to access sources of information. Kakuru Mushiri, Central Region Director of Housing, said they have... Moving on, residents from Kirinyaga County have called for the removal of the 10% deposit requirement during the purchase of the affordable housing units. The residents who spoke today after public participation regarding draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024 Kirinyaga Central CDF have said the amount was too unrealistic for the said target market, which is the common mwananchi. Here is more on this.
Majority of Kirinyaga residents have proposed the scrapping of 10% deposit required during the purchase of affordable housing units being built by the government, terming them too expensive for the common mwananchi, also known as the hustler. According to the residents, the government should put more effort in civic education to enable as many citizens to access information, as not many of them support the program.
Hii project, kulingana na mimi, hii project si ya mwananchi wa kawaida, hii itakuwa ya matajiri. Juu kulingana na venye nimeona, lazima kwanza ulipe tax, na ukiangalia tulikuwa tunaambiwa na our president William Ruto, hii project ya affordable housing itakuwa mahasura, of which hasura ni mama mboga, boda, mtu mwenye analima huko chini kule anapewa kibarua ya 200 jioni, mwenye anapata less than $1 ndio apate risiki na apelekee watoto wake chakula kwa meza. So ni kumaanisha hii affordable housing itakuwa kwa ule mtu analipo mshahara, the salary people So ni kumaanisha hasura 80% of the hasura hawata benefit na hii project.
The method of the criteria used to give out these jobs, that's where the question is, and the biggest question, because does it, have they underlined, do they have, do they really have a good method of how, and an open one, of how these jobs will be applied, that no corruption will be used to get these jobs.
Serikali ikiondoka katika kazi leo, itakuwa ile kitu tunaita white elephant. Itasimama tu hapo sababu sioni hata nani ataunga mkono hii project.
On his part, Gakuru Mushiri, the Central Region Director for Housing, has said they have taken all the recommendations, which they will compile with those of the other counties, to assist in development of final implementation programs, as all the proposals will be taken to the Affordable Housing Board.
Public participation ifanywe kutoka grassroots. Watu waelewe hii ni nini. Juu sasa watu waelewi. Unasikia kama ulipi tax uwezi apply this house. Watu wangapi wanalipa tax kule chini na wana afford kulipa? Wengi wanarudisha zero return. Na wao hata qualify kwa nini? Wakiwa waelewi, hawajui ni nini.
Na jukuko na Affordable Housing Board now. These are some of the recommendations we are going to take so that we can ensure that the whole country is incorporated na tumeenda safari moja. Ili maneno ya manyumba kila mtu elewe kwa nini Mheshimiwa Rais na hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza inasema tufanye hii maneno ya affordable housing.
The Ministry of Land, Public Works, Housing and Urban Planning carried out public consultations in regard to the draft Affordable Housing Regulations 2024, which took place in Kirinyaga, bringing together stakeholders from administration, clergy, civil society and the general public to give their views and seek clarifications about the regulations. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
President William Ruto has signed into law the Statute Law Amendment Bill 2024 that amends various provisions of 16 Acts of Parliament to strengthen human resource operations in the Attorney General's office. The Office of the Attorney General Act that has been amended to introduce an advisory board that will recommend for appointment and promotion of Deputy Solicitors General and State Counsel. The board comprises the Attorney General as the chair, Principal Secretaries of Public Service in the National Treasury, the Public Service Commission Chairperson, the Law Society of Kenya President, and Chair of the Council of the Institute of Human Resource Management as members. This change aims to address the issue of the inadequate personnel to fulfill its functions, stemming from poor terms of employment for State Council and the absence of a comprehensive scheme of service for the officers. In a bold step towards environmental protection and conservation, the bill amends the Public Holidays Act, renaming Utamaduni Day as Mazingira Day to be observed on October 10th every year. Mazingira Day will be a day for all Kenyans to engage in environmental conservation activities, including tree planting and growing. Similarly, the Advocates Act has been amended to replace the Registrar of the High Court of Kenya additional powers to make rules on the admission of advocates to the bar. A chilling appeal for justice grips the nation attention as the Directorate of Criminal Investigations intensifies efforts to capture the prime suspect in the murder of Rita Waeni, who was murdered in January 2024 and her body dismembered, only to be found in black bags in the Roysambu apartment dustbin. Her body had been chopped up with a hacksaw. Susan Nganga with the details.
The Directorate of Criminal Investigations now want Kenyans to volunteer information that will help in the arrest of the prime suspect in the murder of Rita Waeni. The DCI say the homicide detectives are at advanced stages of investigation on Waeni's murder, whose life was ended in January 2024. Her dismembered body was found in black bags in the Roysambu apartment dustbin.
There were bruising on the scalp, which to me looked like caused by a blunt object. And then upon looking at the neck structures, we also saw some fractures of bones, which are usually very important in homicide. One of the bones is called hyoid bone, which was fractured. Then there was what is called thyroid cartilage also, which had some fracture and hemorrhage. So from all this, I can comfortably conclude that what caused the death of that young lady was strangulation.
The DCI had since obtained CCTV footage of the man walking with Waeni towards a room where she was found dead in Roysambu. According to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, elaborate forensic analysis have so far been done by the investigating team.
What we did, we took some samples for DNA from the other body structures. That can help us very well. Yes, yes.
Further, detailed statements by persons of interest have been recorded and more data sourced from digital platforms to ensure that all leads to her killers. The DCI have released blurry images of the suspect in a bid to enable Kenyans to identify him. The DCI highlighted that although his identity remains unknown, it has been established that he first initiated communication with the late on October 2nd, 2023 through an Instagram account in the name Carlton Maina. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in our news segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick break. We'll be right back with even more.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Fun Story Class. Friend, today I'm going to read the story of the ant and the grasshopper. Friend, this is a very interesting story, so listen carefully. The ant and grasshopper were good friends. The grasshopper was enjoying the fine weather, playing all day. He asked the ant for food, and ant gave him some. But my food is just enough for my family to last until the end of winter. If I give you more, we too will starve.
So through the four gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins.
지셨고,
he carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데.
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back. You are still watching GBS News 9. The National Youth Council launched its second National Youth Council Strategic Plan 2023-2024 to 2027-2028 on Wednesday, marking a significant milestone in the government's dedication to youth empowerment and development. The National Youth Council Strategic Plan is precisely crafted to tap into this vast potential by equipping young Kenyans with the necessary tools, resources, and opportunities to thrive in today's dynamic world. Here are the details. Strategic Plan for the years 2023-2024 to 2027-2028. The ceremony was led by Ismail Mali Made, Principal Secretary, State Department of Youth Affairs, who stood in for Honorable Ababu Namwamba, Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Together with NYC and everybody that is passionate about our young people, we have to come up with issues that are going to give youth an opportunity for employment. Others are issues of drug abuse, and that is also another crisis in this country.
The event brought together several dignitaries and partner organizations, including International Youth Fellowship, Siasa Place, Spread the Truth Africa, and Smart Mechanized Agriculture and Climate Action for Humanity and Sustainability Foundation, among others.
Been working together with youth, and we thank you so much for working together with IYF and National Youth Council together for the development of the youth here in Kenya. We came in because IYF is doing the work of developing the young people and youth through the software change of the people, especially we call it the mindset education.
Because the achievements you've made and the leadership you are showing in the continent and beyond is something to be embraced, and I'm really hoping that through this partnership with NYC, also with other partners, we'll be able to make sure that the voice of Kenyan youth is heard in Baku in November this year, loud and clear.
Always say, what is it that the government is doing, especially for us young people? And I want to say this, having partnered with NYC for the last 6 years, they have done a commendable job. And I want us to clap for them today. And Bwana PS, I believe that with much support in this room, they will even do much better.
We need to create opportunities, right? The energy that the young people have is there. But what they are met with must come from us. We must be there to provide jobs. We must be there to provide opportunities for this generation, which is unlimited and so on.
Youth Principal Secretary emphasized the need to empower young people to become active participants in the national development by reaffirming their commitment to the youth in the country.
Young people, as very well said by the chairman of IYF, it all begins with you, and it all begins with you changing your software. The software is your mind.
The Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Council, Ms. Margaret Kyogora, took the opportunity to introduce a new slogan for the Council, from the voice of the youth to amplifying the youth voice.
Our slogan is changing. We will no longer be the youth voice because, as I've said, young people have their own voice. So when I say NYC, I want you to say amplifying the youth voice.
NYC! Amplify the youth voice!
And one of the lessons that we've been able to note is that we are working in a disaggregated area where all of us are working towards changing the youth, but everyone is working at their corner. So what we want to be able to ensure we have is regulation and coordination of our youth space. Being able to work with our parliamentarian to have that regulation passed in as a law so that we can be able to have a coordinated approach. The other thing we noted is that we have a lot of data. We don't miss data, but that data is in different segments with different people. So we want to be able to have data that is collective and that can be able to even guide when we come to programming, when it comes to policies, and even when it comes to legislation.
The National Youth Council Strategic Plan is designed to harness the immense potential of young Kenyans through equipping them with essential tools, resources, and opportunities. It aims to enable their success in today's ever-evolving world. With a focus on participation, representation, and association, the plan strives to foster an environment where every youth can achieve their full potential. Our big conversation begins right now. We will be talking matters National Youth Council's second strategic plan 2023-2024 to 2027-2028. Who better to have this conversation than Ms. Margaret Kyogora, the Chief Executive Officer, National Youth Council, joining us virtually. And do keep your comments and questions coming in on the same. The SMS line is 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Good evening, Ms. Margaret, and thank you for joining the broadcast.
Good evening.
And now, just to start off with our conversation tonight, perhaps the National Youth Council, under your leadership, did launch its second strategic plan. How was the experience? Was it a success? How was the experience?
Allow me to start by saying thank you to GBS News for giving National Youth Council this platform to be able to just have a conversation on what we did today. Today was such a joyous moment for the youth of this country because the strategic plan is to be able to deliver when it comes to their programs and when it comes to the agenda of the youth. So for us, we believe that the strategic plan launch was such a success. When you look at the youth that were there, they were able to interact and get a snippet of what this strategic plan is all about. So for us, we believe it was a successful launch, and we are looking now forward to being able to implement it. Thank you very much.
Ms. Margaret, now for most of us, I happened to attend the event myself. We were there to launch, but of course there has been preparations behind. Perhaps you can take us through some of the preparation and some of the challenges that you have faced when coming up with this plan.
Thank you very much for the question. One of the things that you will note, even during the launch, we kept on saying, is that this is the second generation strategic plan. Initially, we had a strategic plan that we were implementing. And during the implementing stage, we were able to realize that there are areas that either there were lessons learned and we wanted to be able to improve on our work. One of the things that we realized as we were implementing the previous strategic plan, even before I come to the new one, is that we have a very not well coordinated youth space, where we have different players in the market or different players in the sector who are, all of them want to change the life of the youth, but you find they are working separately. So by the time you're talking about the impact, sometimes it's not felt. As much as there's a lot that is being done, you're not able to quantify what has been done out there. So that is one of the lessons that we learned during the last strategic plan. And also the other lesson that we were able to learn also was about strength in partnerships, strength in collaborations. Because one of the things that we've been able to note is that when we work together as people who are in this sector, as different stakeholders, we're able to achieve a lot. Coming to the strategic plan that we launched today, that is 2023, 2024, 2027 to 2028. The journey has not been easy. We started this journey around 6 months ago. And this is one of the deliverables that we are required as a state agency to be able to deliver. As I would want to introduce our institution, National Youth Council is a state agency. And our state agency is under the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economy, and Sports. And one of the areas that we are required to do is to have a strategic plan, because a strategic plan gives guidance to the institution. Again, our leadership being led by our able CS, Ababu Namwamba, our PS, Mail Made, together with PS Engineer Tum, we've been able to have a bigger picture for the ministry. So for us as the National Youth Council, we are to trickle down the bigger strategy of the ministry to be able to know how are we going to serve the youth of this country. Remember again that there are other documents that guide our institution, like the bottom-up transformation agenda. We also have the MTP4, that we are able to align this document to what we do. That way, in the next 5 years, we will be able to be reporting of what we've done for the youth of this country. So the journey has not been easy, but we've been able to work with different stakeholders, from our ministry to the State Department of Planning, to our staff at NYC, to the stakeholders who work in this sector, that is the youth serving organization, faith-based organization, and also to the youth of this nation. So it has not been an easy journey, but we've been able to listen to the voices of all of them and try and collect them in this document. So I would say today we saw the fruits of that journey. And to be honest, it's quite fulfilling, noting that we have a document that we can implement in the next 5 years.
Thank you. And now, today we did see many partners coming together, and the likes of IYF, highlighting any key partnerships or collaborations and how they come in terms of achieving the goals in the strategic plan.
As I said earlier, what we've been able to realize is that collaboration and partnership is actually the way to go. For us to be able to serve the youth of this nation, remember these are the 75% of the population. They are young, they are agile, they have a lot of innovative ideas, and there's a lot of things that they can be able to do. What we've realized is that working in collaboration, number one, we look at IYF, International Youth Fellowship. There's a lot that you're doing for the youth. We've worked with you in several instances, and we've been able to see the impact of that. Again, we have institutions like Spread Truth Africa. What we've been doing with them again is instilling values, because you find young people, sometimes they do not understand what are these values that we need to be able to protect, what are these values that we need to live by. And apart from values, we've been able to go on ground with institutions like Spread Truth Africa. I know for IYF, you're working with our ministry in Kisumu, Nairobi, and Mombasa. The same thing, you're trying to change the mindset of young people. Because one thing that you find is sometimes our youth have so many ideas, but they don't even know how to even package them. Being able to show them the potential they have, being able to show them to believe in themselves, being able also to show them they need to go for it. No one is going to give you things for free. And I believe when the chairman was talking about, there's that need to change our software. And the minute we see of the potential, the minute we see the power of supporting another youth, the minute we see the potential or even working together, then we achieve more as opposed to when we pull each other down. So one of the things that I continue urging our young people, let's remember our potential and let us remember our strength in numbers, and let us remember the importance of being able to hold each other's hand, to pull each other up as we deliver and even as we get our livelihood out here.
Now,
thank you very much.
As we talk about values, the core values of NYC are inclusiveness, professionalism, integrity, transparency, innovativeness, and teamwork. Now, how have you designed the plan to make sure these values are adhered to, especially on inclusion? We have people with special needs, we have marginalized, among others.
One of the things I'll be able to report back to you is that for inclusivity, we are saying we are not leaving any youth behind. Be it be a youth in the marginalized areas, be it be a youth in rural areas, be it be a youth in Turkana, or those areas that we feel that are very far off away from where we are as the headquarters of National Youth Council. So what we are saying is that we will work with all youth because all youth matter and all youth are supposed to be represented by an institution. When you talk about inclusiveness, you're talking about also people living with disability. We have people who are very innovative, who are living with disability, and we are not going to leave them behind. When we have programs, we will be having programs that are curated for these special groups to be able to benefit from them. When you talk about people who are in the marginalized areas, as I've mentioned before, we want to be able to work with them. We've been able to work with the youth in the ASL counties, and we've been able to do youth policies. These are draft policies. Again, working with those young people to tell us, what is this that they suffer from? What are these challenges that they are facing constantly? Because for us, we don't want to be the people who are pushing our solutions to the youth. We want the youth to tell us, this is the challenge that we are facing, this is the support that we are looking at, and we are able to have a discussion and come up with solutions together. So be it a youth in the marginalized area, be it a youth who is living with disability, we want to bring them on board and be able to understand in areas that they feel that there is a challenge. So for us, we are saying we are not going to leave any young person behind.
Ms. Margaret, how is NYC working together with the county government to ensure smooth implementation of the strategic plan?
Thank you once again. One of the things that, as I had mentioned earlier, when I was talking about some of these policies, we've been able to work with the counties. And when we were developing the county youth policy, we were guided by the Kenya Youth Development Policy of 2019. That's a national document that our counterparts at the county level, they've been able to appreciate the document. So what we are telling them is, how can we be able now to domesticate it? Because you'll agree with me. The youth problems, they could be the same, but there are areas that they are not the same per se. You'll find there's a region in our country where peace and security is paramount. There's a region where issues to do with drought is very important to them. There's an area where you find that matters to do with maybe drugs and substance abuse is a very big agenda, or they would want to be able to take care of that menace or to be able to eradicate it. So for us, we were looking, or we've been working with those counties, in the ASL counties mostly, to ensure that we are able to come up with solutions for the grassroots problems with them. So we are working with the county government. We are working with also the COG, that is the COG, to be able also to come up with solutions that are based on the needs of that county. And apart from that, from our ministry, we have youth officers that when we go on ground, because again, our footprint has not gone to the ground, so we work with our ministry to ensure when we go to some of these areas, we are working with our youth officers. We've seen young people actually being able to just go out there and start some programs. And they call us and tell us, National Youth Council, at this county, yes, maybe we might not have a structure in doing this and this, but we would want to work with you. We've seen this youth at Tana River. We've seen some of them in areas like Lamu. They are calling us and telling us, yes, we are working with the county, we have this program, and we would want you to work with us. So ours mostly is ensuring that we are also approachable and we open our doors for those counties that are already having programs at the grassroots. But when it comes to working, we are working with the 47 counties, and the ones that do not have the youth policies, as it had been mentioned during the launch, we are looking at being able to approach and have a collaborative effort to work together to ensure that we have the youth policy. Because the youth policy will guide it will guide the programs that are being done at the grassroots. It will also guide even having a framework to be able to even do a monitoring and evaluation. What have we been able to do in County X? How can we be able to improve it? That way, we are able to represent our youth and represent them in a manner that they will appreciate and will see impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the insights. And now to an issue that is affecting each and every one of us, perhaps the reason why you are not here live with us. On matters climate change, we have floods affecting most of us, and we have even lost some of our fellow citizens. Perhaps when it comes to climate change, how does the strategic plan involve climate change, how the youth get involved in that as well?
One of our pillars at National Youth Council is, we have 3 pillars, maybe to just bring it to your attention. We have one of our mandates is to ensure youth participation, youth representation, and youth association. And when it comes to youth participation, we are able to work with youth serving organizations. You'll be very shocked that they are very young people who actually are at the forefront of climate change. They're doing marvelous work, and they're doing a lot of changes. We have one of the youth serving organizations called Green Space. They've been able to come up with even policies that have been presented during the discussions prior to COP, to the COP, either COP 20. The last time we had a discussion with them was before COP 28. So we are looking at institutions that are already there that we are working with. When you look at someone like her name is keeping my mind. Sorry something. Sorry for that. Her name has kept my mind. But you look at that young lady, she's doing so much when it comes to youth work. So for us as National Youth Council, the one thing we were saying, we are going to amplify these young people as they do it. And even in our strategic plan, what we have is that programs that are going to be able to ensure that we are able to work with these institutions, to be able to also push for the programs that are supporting young institutions and youth serving organizations at the grassroots. So at the strategic plan, and I wish we can go to our website to see this document. I wish we can go to our Twitters to just see what are these snippets that we are going to be having when it comes to matters climate action. Because one of the things that we should actually be cognizant of, you've said about the floods. The next thing we are going to be talking about the drought. The next thing we are going to be talking about people not getting along with each other. Actually, this is a cycle. It's a cycle that when we look at it, if we do not take care of the climate, it means it's a cycle that affects all people, starting with the young people. Because one of the things is that you'll note, as I've said, if the rains come, that means floods will be there. In a few months' time, you might find we have drought. Then it means we have communities that are having disagreements. So if we don't take care of climate action, if we don't ensure that we are having our youth at the forefront, either be it on the tree growing, be it on being the advocates of ensuring that we have policies that can be able to mitigate some of these things, then it means that the youth, who are the majority, that we are in for a rude shock, that we will be having a situation where we are not able to even feed ourselves. Then the other thing that we are also calling upon our youth through our strategic plan. We want our youth to be also at the forefront of ensuring that we have food security. Apart from ensuring that we mitigate issues to do with climate action, let us also be at the forefront when it comes to issues to do with food security. Because a hungry person is actually an angry person. So we look forward, even as we implement, as we come to partners, who one of them, as you saw today, is the His Excellency, the Ambassador of Azerbaijan. And one of the things that they are pushing for is on climate action. So we look forward to working with different partners to ensure that our young people, whatever they are doing, we're actually amplifying, and we continue to support them to pull other people to come to mitigate the climate matter and to be able to provide solution for our country and even for the world for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now maybe you can talk about, are there any specific targets or milestones set within the strategic plan that you hope to achieve at certain time frames?
Thank you for that question. One of the things you'll come to appreciate is that a strategic plan is a guiding document. And a strategic plan being a guiding document is a document that we are going to implement within the period of 5 years. Yes, we have milestones that we've been able to set, that within the first year, we want to be able to do a certain some of these deliverables. And one of the things that we are looking at doing during the first year of implementation of this strategic plan, you remember I mentioned about having a youth sector that is very disaggregated. Everyone doing a lot of work, but doing it at their own corner. We want to be able to ensure that we have a youth sector regulations. And what will these regulations do? The regulations will be able, number one, to professionalize the work of our young people. You find a lot of professionals have their bodies that have code of conduct that guide what they do and all that. If we are able to have a sector regulation, then we are able to professionalize the area of the youth work. Apart from that, we are looking at being able to even work towards having coordinated data, being able to have data that we can be able to proudly say that this is how much impact that we've had. So we want to be able to do that on the same time. So within the first year, hours, we are telling ourselves we need to have that regulation. And you know, regulation, it's a process. We already have a draft. We need to be able to present it to our members of parliament. And that process, we are hoping, noting that today we had an overwhelming support from members of parliament, looking at being able to have this enacted as a law, so that we have regulations for the youth sector to be able to guide the youth serving organization, to be able to guide the youth sector and in everything that they do. That way, we will be able to confidently measure what impact, in what sector, and we can be able to give even policy solutions that can be able to be adapted for this country and for the benefit of our young people. I hope that gives a snippet of what we are looking at in the first year. The same thing, again, a strategic plan is a document that after the half year, we will be able to review. When we get to the second year, we'll be able to review. What have we been able to achieve? What are challenges that we are facing as we implement this strategic plan? Do we need to change our strategies? So that way it's allowed in the middle of the 5 years, in case you would want to do a review, that's the time that we'll be able to do. But for us, in the first year, one of the things that we want to be able to achieve is having youth sector regulations. And apart from having youth sector regulations, we also hope to have reviewed our National Youth Act of 2009. Because this is an act, as we mentioned, it was created before even the Constitution of 2010. So there are areas that we feel that our act requires some changes to be able to fully support the youth of this country. So those are the two milestones that we hope by the time we are getting to the end of the first year, we will have been able to achieve and give feedback on the same to the youth of this country who have placed us in those offices. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the insights. And now another issue that many of the youths of the country are facing are drug abuse. We have had the deputy, even Manyata Member of Parliament, talk about it. How has the strategic plan addressed the issue of drug and substance abuse among the youth?
How our strategic plan has been able to address that. One of the things that we do, again, we do a lot of intergenerational dialogue. And sometimes when we go to the ground, you will be shocked to note that when you talk to the young people, you get to understand the deeper, maybe the reason why Because being on drugs and substance abuse, to me, is a reaction to something. It's either a reaction to a joblessness, either a reaction to the issue to do with either depression. You're looking for something to comfort you. So when we go on ground, which we do a lot when it comes to intergenerational dialogue, when we go on ground, we are having conversations with these young people, trying to understand why are we having this vice of drugs and substance abuse. And you'll be shocked to understand that sometimes I don't have means to support my family. And because when I get home, I'm constantly told of how useless I am, I look for a comfort, which is either an alcohol and drugs and substance abuse. So for us, we are looking at being able to deal with the root cause. And being able to deal with the root cause is coming up with these policies that are youth-friendly to ensure that our young people are engaged and engaged meaningfully. If a young person is engaged meaningfully, I foresee that we will have dealt with the issue to do with drugs and substance abuse. But one of the things I'll applaud our government is being able to go out there and fight the menace, because we are having a lot of young, productive people that you find they're not being utilized, or they're not using their energy to build the country. You find they're using that energy to actually destroy their youthful years. Then, you know, we always say youth is a passing age. As in, 1 minute you are under 35, the next you've already passed that age. And we want, by the time our youth are getting to the age of over 35, as per our Constitution of Kenya, that they've been able to do a lot of meaningful work. So we applaud what the government is doing to ensure that we get rid of this menace, because if we are not careful, we will lose a lot of young men, a lot of young women to drugs and substance abuse. For us, in our strategic plan, we have those programs, and they are majorly under the intergenerational dialogue, where we are sitting down with different youth from different communities to understand what are these challenges. And sometimes that's the time they'll tell you, I'm depressed. And one of the things actually you find, it's actually sometimes a relationship issue. So being able to tell these young people, you have solutions within yourself. Just talk to one another. And sometimes you find they're able to get a solution. Something that was making someone not able to even control the drinking or control their way of behavior, when they have a chat with their fellow youth, they discover, oh, actually, you have a solution to my problem. So what we are encouraging young people is, like, please, be each other's keeper. And because when you have someone who is holding you accountable, you find at the end of the day, you tend to have a very a better and a coordinated approach when it comes to your actions. So we are calling upon youth, please be each other's keeper, as opposed to spending most of your time on drinking and substance abuse. Let that energy be utilized to come up with a proposal. We please come and disturb us with the proposal and tell us, you know what, I need to be supported, or I need to be shown on how to be able to do a proposal. And I know there are so many partners who are willing to work with young people to just give that capacity building on how can I be able to better myself. And again, as you said, and as International Youth Fellowship has continued to actually advocate for, being able to have that mindset change. Our young people have to continue being reminded that being a youth is a passing age, and they need to be able to see more of their potential and utilize it positively.
Thank you very much, Ms. Margaret, for your wonderful insights. And of course, there's a lot to talk about in matters of strategic plan, but sadly, time is not on our side. Maybe briefly, as you give your parting shot, you can tell us how you have made the strategic plan available for the youths. And this is a 77-page, maybe for the youths who don't like to read, if there's a simpler version, and how they can be able to access it.
Okay, thank you very much once again for having us and for having me to just represent National Youth Council. How our youth can be able to access this document, they can be able to go to our website. Also, we've been able to put the links on our social media for the young people to just be able to go there, click it, and have a look. What we are working on, we will work on the popular version, which will be shorter, to ensure that our young people get the snippets of what they need to be able to, the critical areas that they should be able to look at, and also see the possible and beneficial opportunities that they can be able to work or to tap into. Otherwise, I thank you very much for allowing National Youth Council to come on air to just be able to articulate what we do as a state agency, and we continue appreciating the partnership that we have with GBS News together with IYF Kenya. Asante sana.
Thank you so much for the wonderful insights. I hope next time we'll be able to come live. And of course, to make sure you keep your questions coming in, the SMS line is 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And now to matters international news. Despite a groundbreaking 2017 law banning single use of plastic bags for household and commercial use, Kenya has not quite won its battle with plastic pollution. Its capital, Nairobi, for example, generates about 2,400 tons of solid waste every day, of which a fifth is plastic. The National Environment Management Authority announced a ban on the use of plastic bags for the collections of organic waste, like leftover food, stating that 90 days after 8th of April, when the notice was first issued, plastic bags would not and private waste services to provide their clients with the bags. As analysts stated, the move was likely to increase the cost of garbage collections, particularly for households. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's latest effort to send some migrants to Rwanda finally won approval from the Parliament early Tuesday, hours after the pledged deportation flights would begin in July. In a late-night session, the unelected House of Lords relented, paving the way for the bill's passage. This comes after weeks of deadlock and heated exchanges between the two chambers. Here is more on the same.
After facing significant opposition, the UK Parliament finally approved Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's contentious proposal to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. The bill, aimed at curbing the influx of the migrants crossing the English Channel, was met with fierce resistance from the human rights groups and the lawmakers alike.
My Lords, Rwanda is a safe country that has proven time and again its ability to offer asylum seekers a safe haven and a chance to build a new life. Rwanda has a strong history of providing protection to those that need it and currently hosts over 135,000 refugees and asylum seekers who have found safety and sanctuary there. There are binding provisions in the treaty which place obligations on the government of Rwanda to provide for those relocated under the partnership. And my Lords, this is long overdue, but I would also like to put on record my thanks to the officials in the government of Rwanda for all their efforts in delivering this partnership. I beg to move.
At the scene, the sailors found several people in the boat, unconscious and in great difficulty.
6
people were immediately taken aboard the patrol boat for initial treatment before being taken to the beach as quickly as possible to be rescued by the fire brigade and the ambulance service.
In a late-night session, the unelected House of Lords relented, paving the way for the bill's passage. This comes after weeks of a deadlock and heated exchanges between the two chambers.
And keep the boats coming. But enough is enough. No more prevarication, no more delay. Parliament will sit there tonight and vote no matter how late it goes. No ifs, no buts. These flights are going to Rwanda.
This move aligns with Sunak campaign promise to curb illegal migration, often facilitated by the perilous crossings of the English Channel.
We are going to deliver this indispensable deterrent so that we finally break the business model of the criminal gangs and save lives. Starting from the moment that the bill passes, we will begin the process of removing those identified for the first flight. We have prepared for this moment.
I'm very stressed. I don't know what to do. All I can think about is this letter and Rwanda.
Before I came here, he said that, they sent him in Rwanda. I never come here.
Earlier on Tuesday, Prime Minister Sunak made a rare morning appearance, urging the Laws to cease their opposition, same time promising a swift action. He reiterated that the government stance that deportation to Rwanda would serve as a deterrent to illegal immigration.
Thank you, Jennifer Macau, for that detailed report. And now for sports lovers, it is time for your most anticipated part of the news, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Jelani Kihanya and Antonio Mputhia emerged the winners of the second NCBA Coast Junior Open Championship at the Nyali Golf and Country Club in Mombasa County. Kihanya from the Limuru Club was the overall winner with a total score of 240 from 84 in the first round, 78 in the second round, and an identical 78 again in the final round. Antonio Mputhia finished second on the leaders' board, but was the girls' winner with a score of 257 from 90 in the first round, 81 in the second round, and 86 in the third round. Third on the leaders' board was Fidel Wasike from Kericho Golf Club with a score of 258, which earned him the 16 to 18-year-old boys winners trophy. Muthaiga Golf Club, Hazel Kuria, finished fourth on the leaders' board with a score of 265, emerging the best girl in the 16 to 18-year-olds category. Justin Guerra and Tatiana tied for the fifth on the leaders' board with a score of 269. Jelani Kihanya was consistent in all three rounds, starting off at third position in round one before taking the lead after the second round. The Junior Golf Foundation will have 6 tournaments at the Coast region during the U.S. Kids Local Tour starting in August. There will be 2 in Nyali, 2 in Vipingo, and 2 at the Leisure Diamond.
Smile, Jelani. Boys from the room, Country Club, red group. Girl leader, and the boy leader, 16 to 18, and the leader, 14 to 15 years.
Record by winning her 5th tournament in a row as she claimed the first women's major of the year at the Chevron Championship. Victory on Sunday gave the American a 5th win in 5 starts. Nelly Calder claimed her 13th LPGA Tour title with last week's victory in Chevron Championship. Here are the details.
Nelly Calder victory at Chevron Championship in Texas. The 25-year-old American equaled the LPG Tour record of 5 consecutive wins. Nelly Calder started the final round 1 shot behind a Rio High run. Her 3 under 69 on a gusty day in Texas saw her finish on 13 under to win her second major by 2 shots. Calder finished in style too, with a birdie on the last hole. The Tokyo gold medalist name remained resolute on leaderboards throughout the rest of the tournament. Nelly Calder's run of victory started with the LPGA drive on the championship in the last week of January. The 25-year-old then took 7 weeks off before returning in late March to win 3 events in 3 weeks: the Far Hills Seri Park Championship, Ford Championship, and T-Mobile Match Play, before claiming the Chevron Championship title. Nelly Korda was withdrawn from this week's LPGA Tour event to get some rest after winning her second major title at the Chevron Championship. Her next scheduled LPGA Tour appearance is in the Cognizant Founders Cup in New Jersey, which starts on 9th May 2024. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
Arsenal moved 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League table and made a potentially significant improvement to their goal difference with a 5-0 victory over Chelsea at Emirates Stadium. Arsenal recorded their biggest ever victory against Chelsea across all competitions. Chelsea had gone into the match in an 8-game unbeaten run in the Premier League, but Tuesday's loss, their biggest of the season, leaves them 9th in the table, missing the chance to move to level on points with the 6th place Newcastle. Here is more on the same.
Arsenal's 5-0 win over Chelsea put them 3 points ahead of Liverpool and 4 ahead of Manchester City. It pushed their goal difference up to 56, 13 goals ahead of Liverpool's 43 goals and 12 goals ahead of Manchester City 44 goals. Arsenal have played 1 more game than Liverpool and 2 more than Manchester City. Gunners needed a fast start, which Leonard Trossard's goal gave them 4 minutes after kick-off. Trossard settled any early nerves when he beat Chelsea's keeper Petrovic at his near post. Arsenal ran riot after the break. The second goal for Arsenal came as Ben White turned in after Chelsea failed to clear a corner in the 52nd minute, before former Stamford Bridge forward Kai Havertz struck twice in 8 minutes. Kai Havertz's 2 goals either side of the hour snuffed out the unlikeliest of prospects. His second goal, a thrilling high finish after one of those glorious passes Martin Odegaard produces. Ben White looped his second goal over Petrovic in the 70th minute, making it 5-0 for Arsenal. Arsenal had 13 shots in the first half and 14 in the second half, 27 in total against Chelsea. Having gone into the halftime 1-0 down, the Blues conceded 4 goals during a devastating 18-minute spell in the second half as they fell to their heaviest defeat in London Derby since 1986. Chelsea were without their top scorer, Cole Palmer, because of illness and may also have been suffering a hangover from the draining FA semi-final loss to Manchester City. Reporting for GBS TV, I am John Kinyanjui.
And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. As always, here at GBS News and we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.
Everywhere, GBS.